Hey guys, I'm AfroGeek PlusUltraNappy and welcome back to a brand new video. So once again guys, I am back for my review of Static Shock, but this time we are on part 3, aka season 3. And this by far is personally my favorite season out of the whole series. Now I know some of you are thinking,
but wouldn't you have liked maybe the last season? Because that's when things kind of come to a conclusion.
No. This one by far has some of the best episodes I've seen throughout the whole series. Now granted, that's not me saying that seasons 1, 2, and even the final 4th season wasn't good. No, those seasons were good too, but this one personally by far has more of my favorite episodes out of the whole series. So without further ado, let's go ahead and let's jump on in. So Static Shock season 3 aired from January 25th, 2003 all the way till June 21st, 2003. So buckle up guys, because I have quite a few episodes that honestly were my favorites. Like there was a lot, honestly. Pretty much I chose most of this season's episodes as my favorite. Starting off with episode 1, titled Hard as Nails. So once again, Static Shock and Batman team up to stop Poison Ivy and Harley Quinn as they lure in a young metahuman girl named Nails. She travels with them to Gotham City hoping to find a cure for her metahuman abilities, but instead the two supervillains try to exploit her powers for their own personal gain. So once again, you get to see Static and Batman team up. This isn't the first time, as you are aware from previous season episodes, Batman teamed up with Static. Oh man, again, as a kid, Static is in the DC universe, technically within its own universe within the DC universe because it's the Dakotaverse, or however you want to call it. But this is really great because all the time Static has teamed up with Batman and or Robin, it has been an absolute treat. And as a kid, you will want to see your favorite DC superheroes team up with other characters within the DC realm, which is why I'm really happy that Static got to team up with Batman. And in this episode, it's really kind of messed up because it's not like this girl was on this whole evil rampage like maybe some of the other metahumans within this series. She was just someone who was hoping to get a cure for her metahuman abilities and thought that Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy would help grant that for her, but nope, they weren't. They were just like, yeah, nah, bruh, you gonna come with us? Yeah, we got you. Don't worry. Yeah, we got you, bruh. We got you. No, it's sad, but eventually, you know, Static comes in, saves the day along with Batman. Harley Quinn and Poison Ivy get sent off to Arkham. Static and Batman save the day. They get Nails home, and you know, the rest is history. So now we move on to episode 2, titled Gear. And guys, this is the episode where Richie finally gets his Bang Baby powers. Yes, Richie now becomes a Bang Baby in this episode. Personally, this is why I had to put this episode in my favorites category for season 3, because it's like, you know, Richie, you want Richie to become a superhero, right? Like that's what you want. When you look at the cast, people are like, huh, Richie, Foley, Gear, who's Gear? Well, now you find out. So Richie's increasingly frantic inventing worries Virgil, and he suspects Richie is a Bang Baby. Richie ends up being disappointed, hoping to achieve something flashy as Static's abilities instead of superhuman intelligence. Richie in the end has proven himself to be a useful superhero after saving Virgil from the meta breed, taking on the mantle as a new superhero slash sidekick Gear. So again, this is the episode where you really see Richie kind of just going in on just building stuff for Static, inventing one thing after another, and Virgil's kind of like, dude, like, kind of chill, babe. You know, you kind of worrying me. Richie's telling Static, you know, I can't shut my brain off. It's like, no matter what I do, I'm always like inventing something. My brain is like learning newer and newer things. Lo and behold, Richie's a Bang Baby. But I mean, you know, when you look at Gear, you're kind of like, oh man, he ain't no Static though. Still cool. Think about it. Would you rather have something like Static's powers, or would you rather have superhuman intelligence? Okay, yeah, I probably would want Static's powers too, but there's nothing wrong with superhuman intelligence. Like, you get to invent a lot of cool stuff. Hell, you might even be the person that invents time travel, for crying out loud. Or you might actually invent something else that could, a Nobel Prize or something that can achieve you to doing something good for the community or for the world. Hell, I'd probably, you know what? I'm gonna keep it like this. If I got superhuman intelligence, I'd be cool. I'll be chill, bro. I'm just saying. So now I move on to episode 3, Static in Africa. So when the Hawkins family goes on vacation to Africa, Static teams up with a legendary African folk hero named Anansi. So the two of them stop a group of evil African bandits led by a leopard named Osobo from stealing an ancient African treasure and destroying thousands of homes and claiming hundreds of lives. So this is kind of new for Static. So the whole family goes off to Africa. You know, once again, Static's gotta work. I ain't gonna lie, man. If I went on a family trip to Africa, I'd be kind of pissed off if I had to like help some dude stop these African bandits, because I'd be like, damn, man, I'm on vacation with my family. Why can't your boy just chill? I'm just a kid, man. I just want to chill in Africa. Honestly, it's kind of cool that you get to see other, you know, black superheroes in this series. And, you know, this dude ain't the first black superhero that you're going to come across. Really cool. And to be fair, I actually did like this episode, and I thought it was quite different and unique for what you normally would see in your typical Static episode every weekend on Kids WB. It was different. You know, Static's in a new country, helping some dude who is a folk hero in Africa. Really cool. The action sequence, I have to admit, is actually really cool in this. Like, you get some nice tempoed music in this. You get to see some villains that you normally don't see, and you get a break from seeing the typical like side anti-protagonist heroes, and you also kind of get a break from seeing like the typical like main villains that you normally be seeing in Static. Like, I know Ebon's cool and all, Hot Streak, all them dudes that Ebon's with, but like, you get tired of seeing that every once in a while. So it's a nice change of pace. So obviously within Static, you hear stuff about lives being taken, stuff being destroyed, but with this one, it's a different meaning to it, because it's not just, oh, it's Dakota City. It's, you know what I'm trying to say. It has a lot more meaning to it. So Static and Anansi, I think it's Anansi, they stop Asobo, and you know, everybody's saved. Africa's finally at peace. Everything's all biscuits and gravy. So now we move on to episode 4 called Shebang. And again, we get introduced to a kind of recurring character that you're gonna see throughout season 3 and the final season. So personally, if you ask me, she's honestly one of my favorites out of like this little side hero kind of team thing that Virgil and Richie kind of put together. Because I mean, honestly, it's just Virgil and Richie. There are times where you'll kind of see Shebang kind of come in the mix, and she's actually, again, badass. She may come off as annoying a little bit, but she dope. So Static encounters a sassy female teenage superhero named Shebang. She's a shy classmate who shows him up every time they meet. Static and Gear learn that she's a genetical engineered superhuman, and the company that created her now wants her back. So I don't know if they explain it in this episode or if it's a previous episode, but these two scientists, it was a couple who were married. They invented Shebang so they could have a daughter of their own. And I believe that couple worked for a company. I guess they were on the hideout from the company, and they were just trying to live a normal life and everything, and I guess the past caught up with them to where something happened and this company wants their quote-unquote product back. But I mean, you know, in this episode, it's one of those typical stories that, again, another writing tactic within a lot of TV shows and movies, where if a teenager wants to just live a normal life, you really don't know too much about them, but eventually you'll learn kind of like how they were created or something along those lines, who their parents were, the company that the creator worked for, and they want them back, and it's this whole plot thing, and it can be quite a nuisance, but in a way it makes for a good story, and it made for a really excellent story. And again, I'm not sure if they really go in depth with how, you know, the parents created her, all this stuff, but I think it's this one. Again, don't quote me on it, but overall, Shebang, she kicks ass. She's really cool. Yeah, Virgil may kind of get annoyed because, you know, she's always one-upping him in something in school or even like out on the streets fighting crime. But I mean, what you gonna do? So now we move on to episodes 6 and 7 called The League of Their Own. And this episode by far is the episode I think everybody was waiting for. This is the episode where Virgil, aka Static, teams up with the Justice League. Yes, and this is the Justice League from Justice League Unlimited. So Static teams up with the Justice League from Justice League Unlimited. And you know, as a kid growing up, I did watch Justice League Unlimited, so it was really interesting that Static gets to team up with the Justice League. And again, it's not just Batman, it's not just one superhero, it's the Justice League. So a cosmic string strikes the watchtower of the Justice League, draining the station of its power and sending it hurtling towards Earth. Batman suggests Static needs to recharge the power cord, and he and Gear get invited to the watchtower. But unknown to all, the power outage enabled Brainiac to infiltrate the station's computer system. After the Justice League is called away, Static and Gear discover Brainiac lurking inside the computers and soon face the fight of their lives. Static ain't just, messing around with the Joker or like some corny ass Batman villain. Static's going up against someone who is, very intelligent, very manipulative, and is always one step ahead of the Justice League. And if you've seen Justice League or Justice League Unlimited, and you've kind of seen some of like these DC animated movies from like the early 2000s and stuff, you would know how Brainiac is. Brainiac is always one step ahead. Brainiac is always straight to the point. You think you stopped him, but you didn't. You got played. Congratulations, you played yourself, player. It's one of them things where it's like, that's just how Brainiac is. When you think about it, it's kind of like, well, I mean, wouldn't you think when he went against the Joker, that would have been, on some, that's dope type stuff. No. Brainiac on a whole nother level. And, honestly, the 2-part episode was really dope because it's like, oh, damn, Static and Gear going up against Brainiac, and the whole Justice League is getting played, and it's a whole mess, which is why I recommend, if you have not seen any episodes of Static, bro, just get to the 3rd season and get right to this one. Or if you just someone that likes to just look up clips online, just look up clips online of this episode or these 2-part episodes, and you'll see why this is honestly one of my favorites. And bro, again, Static teamed up with the Justice League. I mean, Justice League Unlimited was already a dope ass show, but you get Static in the mix. Like, you get the best of both worlds. So again, Static and the Justice League think Brainiac has been defeated, but in fact he has found a way to escape annihilation and has taken control over Richie and the Justice League. Now Static has to devise a plan to free his best friend without harming him. What did I just say a few minutes ago? This is exactly why I'm saying Brainiac is more difficult to take down versus Joker. Now the Joker got some stuff up his game. Joker could be one step ahead too now. I am discrediting Joker and his abilities to just amaze people by how maniacal and malicious he may be. No, I'm talking like Brainiac literally took control over not just his best friend Richie, but the Justice League. So now it's like one dude versus the whole motherfucking gang. Like that's some damn. Because imagine you Static, right? You think, piece of cake, as I do this shit in my sleep, dog. You know how I do. And then it's like, you thought, and then it's just like, boom, Richie, boom, Justice League, and it's just you, and you're just like, damn, bro. I'm telling y'all, just watch this episode, this 2-part episode, geek. So now we move on to episode 9 called Consequences. So Daisy gets hurt in a fight between Puff, Onyx, and Static and falls into a coma. Static blames himself because he tried to show off instead of focusing on her safety. He tries to hunt down the 2 villains, destroying everything in his past, but Rubber Band Man succeeds in cooling him down. Puff and Onyx soon learn that Static has gone on a destructive rampage to hunt them down. They decide to use this to their advantage to ruin his reputation. Do that by going on a rampage of their own to drive Static's anger up even more. A little side note, this episode also was supposed to be for the 2nd season, but due to animation errors, it got pushed back into the 3rd season lineup. Imagine you're a teenager, right? You have a crush on some girl. She don't know that you're a superhero, but you still trying to show off. You trying to flex and be like, baby girl, I can do it all. I can go to school, get straight A's, and I can be out in these streets getting work done. You know what I'm saying? Static trying to show off, he's trying to be like, girl, I got this. Because he showed off, he just didn't get the job done like that. Puff and Onyx, they did what they did. Daisy got hurt. Static beat himself up for it. Now, theoretically, it's not all Static's fault, but if he would have just gotten the job done instead of like flexing, trying to look all cool and macho and whatnot, Daisy probably maybe wouldn't have got hurt. But then again, you never know what could happen if you change one thing from the other. You know what I'm saying? Like, you never know what could have happened. Somebody else could have got hurt if it wasn't Daisy. You know what I mean? So I don't blame Static, when you girl that you like, or, like a friend that's really close close to you gets hurt, you get super worked up and angry, and you just get angry and you just want to like fight people. I mean, look at that. That's a common tactic within writing, within comics, TV shows, movies, video games. Look at it. You'll see it everywhere. There's one episode, if not a whole movie or a little storyline dedicated to something like that. I mean, think about it. Seriously. And I ain't blame Static for trying to, but he gotta cool. You gotta cool it. But again, I don't blame Static. Old girl got hurt. He's like, oh, so we hurting right there, huh? Okay, we taking it to home. I bet. And that's why I kind of like Static like that, bro. Because that dude was like, nah, bro. Nah, I'm out for blood. Which is... So now we move on to episode 11, titled Trouble Squared. So Specs and Trapper from the previous first season are hired by Alva to do grant work on the research project to cure his son. Unsatisfied with this, the two young geniuses decide to develop a combat-powered exoskeleton suit to capture Static for their own employer. They nearly succeed in the battle, but a lot of research equipment is destroyed. Specs and Trapper end up getting fired and kidnap Alva Jr. to blackmail Alva, their former boss, who now needs the help of Static to get him back. And again, this episode was intended to be part of the second season, but due to animation errors, it got pushed back to the third season lineup. So I didn't really talk about these two from season 1. This was from an episode I didn't talk about where Static got accepted into this Ivy League school, and Specs and Trapper were two students who were brilliant geniuses, but they just did not like Virgil and they just didn't like Static, and they ended up being supervillains, and they got kicked out of the school. So long story short, Alva hires them to come up with some kind of cure to, resurrect his son from being turned into stone from the previous seasons. And instead, they're like, they work on that, but like, yo, we gonna get Static for you because we heard you didn't like that dude, so we gonna do what we do and we gonna go get him. They nearly succeed, but again, a lot of stuff was destroyed, like I said, and Alva was like, hey, bro, I ain't got time for this, y'all fired. And they're like, I bet. So they take his son as blackmail. And Alva does end up teaming up with Static, but does that mean Alva and Static are on good terms? And you'll understand as the series goes on. You'll understand that. Again, not a bad episode. This was good. You get to see old characters that you saw from the early on in the series. And again, you get to come back to previous little anti-hero, and then you also get to come back to previous villains of some sort, like Alva. You get to come back to that little story arc. And again, pretty good episode. So now we move on to episode 12, called Toys in the Hood. And with this episode, Static was already teaming up with Batman or Robin and the Justice League, and now it's just him and Superman in this one. And again, Static at some point, when you have a TV show, you gotta mix the whole cream with the corn, you know what I mean? You gotta mix superheroes. So Static got his little moment with Batman in a couple episodes, and now it's time for him to get his moment with Superman, with this one involving the villain, a Toyman. So Static teams up with Superman when his old nemesis Toyman appears in Dakota to find and locate his doll, Darcy, after she escapes from him. It soon becomes clear that Darcy intends to take over the life of another person, one Static must protect. And if I'm not mistaken, I'm pretty sure Darcy is this character of his doll that the Toyman brought to life. I guess maybe because he was lonely, or maybe this was supposed to be some sort of ploy or plot to kind of for his own malicious purposes. I don't know, but all I know is that I think she tries to kidnap Daisy. Oh, and Static's like, oh, no, that's my girl. You ain't touching her. And so, I think that's why Static's like, okay, no, I gotta protect this girl. I love this girl. So, and again, the Toyman is a very interesting Superman villain. I personally like the Toyman, but I mean, what's to stop you from just going up and just socking this dude one time in the face, knocking him out, whatever blueprints he got laying around, just take shit out, and you like, all right, let's go. Because I mean, Toyman has always struck me. I mean, granted, Toyman could be one step ahead in some aspects. In some scenarios, he could be one step ahead. So you try and just come up and just whoop his ass, and he's like, I bet I'm gonna destroy the city, or someone's gonna die. But then again, what's stopping you from just hitting him with that 1-2 combo? In the story. So now we move on to episode 13, entitled The Parent Trap. She-Bang returns to Dakota and follows Static and Gear to the gas station of Solitude and learns of their identity. She enlists their help in locating her parents, Jonathan and Dolores Vale, who have mysteriously gone missing in the wake of a large villain capable of absorbing mass and matter to greatly strengthen himself. So I believe this might actually be the episode that I was talking about earlier, where you kind of get, I guess, a background of her parents and how she was created, maybe. I think this is that episode in particular. Now, going up against a person that can absorb mass and matter, that's something, and that's very dangerous. Now the gas station, I want to say the gas station of Solitude, that's where Richie and Gear, that's where they build, like Superman has the Fortress of Solitude, that's their like sanctuary where Richie builds and invents stuff, and that's just where they hang out. And so, she follows them there, learns their identities, Virgil and Richie, and she asks for their help. And Static does what he does. He defeats the dude, gets her parents back, everything's all peaches and cream. It's the reason I think I put this in here is because, again, She-Bang comes back, and I think you get more of a background of how she came to be, and you get to actually see her quote-unquote parents. Technically, they invented her, so they technically are her parents, but you know what I mean. So it's a nice little episode. I can't be mad. The villain's real tough, so again, that's why one of my favorites. So now we move on to a very crucial episode in this season titled Flashback. And this is, again, episode 14. So in this one, you actually get to see Static go back in time, and you actually get to see his mother for the first time and only time in this series. 5 years ago, when a blackout hit the city, Dakota was hit by gang riots, which is a possible play on the Los Angeles riots of 1992. As Virgil tries to regain memories of his mother, who was killed that night, a new metahuman, Nina Crocker, aka Time Zone, seeks out the help of Static and Gear to help better control her abilities. When Gear invents a device that puts her time-traveling capabilities under control, the remote is stolen by Ebon. Static accidentally burns out the circuit and sends them all back 5 years to that Dakota gang riots, where Virgil comes face to face with his mother, Jean. Again, very powerful episode. And one thing I think that I personally really love about this episode is Static gets the closure that he's been wanting all of this time with his mother. He talks to her. He gets to see how she was doing, what the career path she was. Because Static really doesn't remember much of his mom, because his mom died when he was young. Everybody, his sister Sharon has all these memories with his mom, or with their mom. Of course, his dad, they were married. They have a lot of memories, and it's sad because Static's like, I have no fond memories of my mom. It is sad for a child when that's in the family has all these memories when you don't have any. Everybody got memories with my grandparents. I'm one of the youngest out of my first cousins. Everybody has memories with my grandparents, or most of my cousins do, and they died before I was born, so I didn't get to share any of those memories, and they all had fun stories. So I know what it's like to not really remember somebody or get to really know them before your time came. But I think personally, just what I liked about this episode was Static got the closure that he wanted, and I thought it made for a really nice, sweet episode. Minus all the the gang riots and stuff from everything, but again, it was a nice episode. So now I move on to episode 15, Blast from the Past. So Static reluctantly teams up with a retired superhero from the 60s called Soul Power, who has the same abilities as Static to defeat an old-time villain, Professor Menace. Static doesn't see eye to eye with Soul Power's methods or his outdated campy style, but they eventually become allies, and Static helps him take down Professor Menace. During the aftermath, Soul Power officially retires and leaves the city of Dakota in the hands of Static. So again, this is where you get to see more black superheroes and more black supervillains in this episode. And Soul Power, again, was someone who had the same abilities as Static, but retired and kind of went to the shadows after losing one battle to Professor Menace, which I think is a little dumb and childish, but to each their own, or however the fuck you say it. But hey, that's on Soul Power, you know what I mean? And I can understand it, if you're so used to doing your own thing and you gotta kind of rely on somebody else, you gotta go by their methods. Static's all about just getting in there and taking stuff down, taking people down, doing how you do. And I guess Soul Power was so used to just kind of being campy, playing things out, watching the dude's every move, and then striking, which in some ways is a good method. You can technically mix the two up, but at some point, again, Static does kind of learn from Soul Power's way, and they do take down Professor Menace, which, I mean, Professor Menace is kind of badass. So is the name Soul Power. I mean, both of them names badass. And it's a nice little closure, again, for Soul Power to kind of finally get to officially retire and just leave the mantle to Static, aka Dakota City. But alrighty, guys, that ends the Season 3 review for Static Shock. If you enjoyed the video, leave a like, dislike if you didn't, subscribe to the channel if you're brand new. If you've seen this season, let me know down in the comment section below what was your favorite episode. And if you want to connect more with me, hit up my links to my social media in the description below. I'm talking Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, and Reddit. And if you want to see more content from me, hit up my link to my main channel in the description below, Pokemon Tanny 6. And I'll catch you guys in the next video. Alrighty, I am AfroGeek PlusUltraNappy, and your boy is just...